kind of an overview of how the context menus work. Say I right click here and I have this context menu in here, and so we'll kind of go over how those kind of work a little bit. So the first thing is you're going to need to have a physical kind of DOM element, the markup set up right here, and this is how you can see what we have. So we actually have different context menus based upon how many selections that they have. So for example, if it's just one and they right click, there's an edit order. But if they have two selected, you see there's no edit order. So we have different context menus set up there. And okay. But let's go through a couple things. So one of the important things is this context menus grid find orders target. So this says, what do I right click on to show this element? And if we go ahead and look at this in our controller, we see that right here, this is equal to the find orders grid. That's the ID of that grid. So this says when I right click on this DOM element, then I'm going to display this stuff. Now there's a couple other things to keep in mind. The filter, we can take a look. For example, we can show this based upon if it's in a WMS selection group or a certain CSS that's applied to it. So for example, we only want this one to show when it's a single one, right? So how do we get this one to only show when only one of the elements is selected? Well, what happens is we change the CSS when someone's selected. So if it doesn't have this WMS selection group, then we want to display this one. So we come here and we only have one, so it's not going to have that selection group if we inspect it. I'm not sure if we'll get this well here, right? So we don't have this selection group. We right click, it's going to do that one. But if we do one that has two, you see it has WMS selection group. So if we right click on it, then this one right here, this wouldn't load because it's not that. However, this one right here, which does have a selection group, would load. So that kind of helps out there. Now the other two things are K on open and K on event. So the on open is when they first right click before everything displays. So if we come take a look here, we put some logic in here, or we can put some logic in here to say, you know, we may want to hide certain things. For example, if this grid.dataitem.row, this is in the data value, is closed, then we want to disable some of these properties that are going to be on there. So that allows us to kind of change what the context menu is going to show based upon some of those different values. Then the other thing is the K on select. This happens when you actually select one of these. So if I click cancel, or one of those options, so to speak. And so this is a different event. And this is where we typically do the implementation. You know, if you click this, then we're going to go to this code or this code, and this handles the actual making it do different things based upon what they actually click. So that's kind of just a quick overview of how the context menu works.